Okay, so better late than never. Story time. It has been very, very busy around here. Just to give you guys perspective, myself and Mariah went to San Diego Comic-Con. We were there for a week. Then we came back on Monday, I think it was, of last week, and spent the rest of the time to recuperate, essentially. Let's see. This coming weekend, we're going to Los Angeles to meet with the folks from Full Screen, the multi-channel network. And then I think the week after that, Mariah is leaving and going to Puerto Rico for a week. My stepmom's coming into town. We're gonna be everywhere. Like, we're gonna be all over the place, right? I mean, it's insanely busy. But this video is about the time that I got drunk and called work. Now, this was not a very intelligent thing for me to do. Obviously, that goes without saying. At the time, myself and a guy that I used to be friends with, Daniel, we just kind of fell out of contact with each other. We were roommates in a house that had been converted into a top and bottom apartment, right? And so it was a pretty big size place in order for us to call our local space. But at the time, I was working at UK, right? So I had like crazy shifts. I talked about that before, first, second, and third shift in a 1 week period. And so because of that, it made things a little difficult in terms of having a social life, but we managed to pull off having a party. And so the neighbors at the time, I think, the ones who lived upstairs, they were going out of town for like a weekend or something along those lines. So we basically have the whole place to ourselves, right? We're like kids, basically, like, mom and dad are gone. Let's have a party. Why? Because the Beastie Boys said so.
You gotta fight for your right to party.
I love that song. That's such an amazing song. Dun, dun, dun. Dude, it was a really, really good song. At least back in my day anyway, it was a really, really good song. I'm 35 years old, so I imagine there's a lot of kids out there who have never heard of the Beastie Boys. Shame on you for having never heard of the Beastie Boys. Anyway, having said that, the grand night comes, right? Because we had planned this maybe 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time. And as anybody knows, when it comes to Facebook events, you usually just kind of say at like the beginning of the week, right? You kind of like, hey, guys, this weekend I'm gonna be having a thing. Even if you've been planning it for like 3 weeks, you're like, hey, this weekend I'm gonna be having like a thing. Everybody come out here and head out and it'll be a great time and all that kind of good stuff, right? So we had planned everything out, right? So like we had gotten a keg, like a full keg of beer. We made something like 200 some odd Jello shots. We had bunches of alcohol and all that kind of stuff. We had some other party favors that were a little less than legal at the time. This, of course, was 15 years ago, so hopefully the statute of limitations is done and the cops aren't going to come knocking on my door about about engaging in some illicit activities 15 years ago. Wouldn't be surprised if they did. But the fact remains, the night comes, like the party comes, and like as most people know, when it comes to like a party, nobody ever shows up on time, right? You say like the party's going to start at 10, folks are going to get there at like 11 or 12. They just kind of make their way over there. But like the party's rocking, the party's going, and like it's absolutely amazing, right? I mean, all the friends, the immediate friends that we had showed up there relatively early before everybody else, and then everybody else kind of started trickling in. Now, here's the thing: this party was insane. Like it was nuts. This party was bananas. Like the whole place was filled with people. It was like standing room only, right? We had like music blasting, all that kind of good stuff. We were having the time of our lives. And there was one point, I still feel kind of bad about this, although not really because it was 15 years ago. But there was this one chick who was there, and I want to say she was a friend of Daniel's or something like that. And she had used my laptop to log on to her Facebook. And then apparently, as I was drunk, I started like removing her friends off of Facebook. I felt kind of bad about it, but it's like kind of funny now. Like, even at the time it was kind of funny. But Danny was like, "Dude, she's so pissed," and I was like, "Why?" He's like, "You started deleting her friends off Facebook," and I was like, "Oh damn!" I was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "I guess she's kind of screwed now because they're gonna think she did it on purpose." Like. There's no way for her to get around that, right? I mean, girls are super intense about taking them off Facebook as a friend. Dude, they lose their minds. Oh, dude, it's insane. It's one of the crazy things about women, right? Like you add a woman on Facebook and she's like, cool, we're Facebook friends. And then it's like you take her off Facebook and it's just like, my God. Like you would have thought like you murdered an infant like in front of her or something like that. It's just like logic and sanity go right out the window. It is all hell breaks loose after that. It's like a personal offense. So the party's going. And there was one point, like I ended up getting some Mad Dog 2020, which is basically bum wine, for those of you guys who don't know, which is like this really cheap, crappy alcohol. At the time back then, it was like $2.99 for a bottle. I have no idea how much it is now. But we got some Mad Dog 2020, the orange flavor. I was absolutely hammered. I remember almost getting into a fight with somebody, and then Raj pulled me off. He's like, dude, it's cool. I remember that much. I don't remember the details of it besides that. I remember Daniel ended up with a chick. He took her back into his room or something like that. And then of course the night kind of progressed as it went. But nonetheless, I was hanging out with Chris at one point, and God, I'm trying to remember. So I was hanging out with Chris, and I called up my job. And at the time, it was a guy named Mike who was working, who's a really, really cool guy. I'm still friends with him. But it was Mike who was working. And here's a funny thing. At the time, the calls were recorded, right? Like the calls on the job site were recorded. And they still are, you know, the recording system still goes on. But the calls were recorded. And so my supervisor got a hold of it, right? So I remember him playing it back to me a number of times. But I call up, and I really feel like, you know what, but you know what, I'm going to postpone this video, like, before it comes out, when it comes out, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit up my supervisor and see if he can, like, email me the call, and then I'm going to attach the call to this. But on the off chance that I can't, right, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys what happened now, but on the off chance that I can't do that, or that he can't get it to me that way, I called up the job, and Mike answered. He's like, Delta Room, this is Mike, and I was like, Delta Room, this is the dispatching dude, and he's just like Mike immediately realizes that I'm drunk, and he was like, "Hey man, you having a good time?" I was like, "Dude, I'm having a great time, man." You know, and I was like, "I'm here." I was like, "Chris, say what's up." Chris was like, "What up, work?" And then comes like the coup de grace of the phone call, right? So I'm like, "Hey man, you need help or anything? You need any help with anything?" He's like, "Nah, man, I'm good. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Man, we're having a party, man, dude. We're having a good time." I was like, "We're gonna party like it's 1999." It's like 2004 at this point. Mike starts laughing his ass off on the phone, right? He dies laughing over the phone, and it was eventually he just kind of works me off, because you guys know how it is when somebody drunk calls you. It's just like, oh my god, okay, so like entertain them for a few minutes and just kind of wind the call down and then get them to hang up, and then just don't answer him again for the rest of the night. But he's kind of winding the call down. He's like, okay man, well, you know, I got to get back to work, you know, that kind of thing. So he goes back to work. So I end up getting to work, I think the next day or the day after, and when I get in there, like, everybody's kind of got this smile on their face. And it was nuts. I get into the office, I go sit down in the dispatcher's chair, and what do I hear? My boss fires up the call. And my thought was somebody said something they weren't supposed to, and it was just, they were kind of verifying everything or whatever the case is. No. My boss fires up the call, and I'm just like, oh my God. And he's just sitting there looking at me smiling. And I was like, I thought I was going to be in trouble. He was like, he thought it was hilarious. He just plays it all the time. Like, I guarantee, like, when I take Mariah out there to meet him, because she met all my old coworkers, but she didn't get a chance to meet him. When she meets him, oh, I guarantee, as soon as we get in there and we sit down, he's gonna fire up that folder. He's gonna play that phone call along with all the other phone calls that I had, because I wasn't the only one where I not really goofed, but so much as made a bit of a spectacle of myself. That wasn't the only time that ever happened. There were so many times there were times when I screwed up. There were times like, I mean, not the rat, okay. The rat story wasn't even the worst one. There was the one where I refused to give a guy my name, like, and like, that got me in so much trouble. Oh, I refused to give him my name, and I was like, I'll give you my boss's name, threw my boss right under the bus. Oh, he was pissed. Oh, he was 8 kinds of pissed, because not only did it make the whole office look bad, then he felt like I screwed him over. And let me tell you something, man, you don't want your boss feeling like you screwed him over. So that was bad. I ended up in the doghouse for more than a little bit after I did that. But yeah, I've done some goofy things. I feel like I should tell stories about that, like adventures at UK. I feel like I should tell stories about that. About the one guy who was selling well, I won't get into that, but nonetheless, you know, yeah, I feel like I should tell stories about that kind of stuff. But with that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end. And yeah, I will catch you all later. Peace.